Hi YouTube. Some time ago I did a review of the Zoom H1 compared to the Tascam DR-07 MkII. Now at that time I used the automatic recording levels on the two recorders, and somebody who commented on the video told me that a fairer test would be to set the levels manually and then compare the two recorders in that way. What I'm going to do today is exactly that. I'm actually going to make a recording, which I'm doing now. You're hearing the camera audio at the moment, and then in a moment I'm going to read a small paragraph from the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin and let you hear the Zoom H1 recording, that's the one on your right, compared to the Tascam DR-07, which is the one on the left. Now I'll give you a link so that you can download the raw file, or the raw files I should say, of the entire audio of this video from the two recorders so that you can compare them directly, and if you want to try any processing in your own audio applications and so on, you can do that. But what you will get is a sense of the difference between the two recorders, particularly now that I've updated the firmware on the Zoom H1 to version 2. The firmware update for the Zoom H1 turns it into a USB microphone as well as a field recorder, so it's useful for that on its own, but I've also been led to believe that it improves the audio quality of the recorder. Now, what I'm going to do in a second is read out a paragraph from Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, and then I'll let you listen to both of those sound recordings side by side. I'll do it as A and B recording so that you don't know which one is which, and then you can make up your own mind which one you think sounds better. I'll also make sure to put a link in the description so that you can download the original files and compare them directly on your own system, because YouTube automatically compresses audio and video so that what you're hearing now will not give you a true reflection of the actual recording with these two recordings. There will be some recording devices, I should say. There will be some degradation of the sound simply by the fact that it's on YouTube. Okay, here goes. This being notified to the House was accepted in lieu of their share of a general tax, and a new bill was formed with an exempting clause which passed accordingly. By this act I was appointed one of the commissioners for disposing of the money, £60,000. I had been active in modelling the bill and procuring its passage, and had at the same time drawn a bill for establishing and disciplining of a voluntary militia, which I carried through the House without much difficulty, as care was taken to leave the Quakers at their liberty. This being notified to the House was accepted in lieu of their share of a general tax, and a new bill was formed with an exempting clause which passed accordingly. By this act I was appointed one of the commissioners for disposing of the money, £60,000. I had been active in modelling the bill and procuring its passage, and had at the same time drawn a bill for establishing and disciplining of a voluntary militia, which I carried through the House without much difficulty, as care was taken to leave the Quakers at their liberty. Okay, that's the end of the short recording, and please do feel free to download the audio raw files so that you can hear them in more detail, and I'll probably put a summary at the end when I've had a chance to listen to these recordings myself and tell you what I'm hearing back through headphones and just how much difference there is between the two of them. What I want to do now is show you some of the waveforms of the two recordings. As you can see, they're fairly similar in volume and peaking, and that means that the levels have been set fairly accurately. In fact, if we pause for a moment and zoom out, I'll show you a slightly more compressed view of the waveforms so you get a better idea. As you can see, they're fairly similar in terms of level, so I think I got a reasonably close approximation of the manual level settings on this, which in my estimation makes it a reasonable test. Okay, well, I've had a chance to listen to the recording. I've listened to both of them on headphones, I've listened to them on the speakers on the computer, and I've listened to them on separate speakers. Now, I don't have audiophile equipment. The speakers I use are just very cheap ones. Honestly, I can tell very little difference between the Zoom H1 and the Tascam DR-07. The Tascam, certainly for my money, gives a little more bass, but the the actual quality of the two is extremely similar. For the difference in price, I say the Zoom wins hands down. Now, if you need the features of the Tascam DR-07, because there are some extras that you can set within the menu settings and so on, then you'd have to go for that. But in terms of simple quality, the Zoom certainly seems to be pretty good, very much up there, certainly with version 2 of the firmware. Depending on your voice, the extra bass on the Tascam may be better. I don't like that too much for mine. I think the quality is very high from the Tascam, but for my voice, it seems to pick up too much of the bass and makes the sound, to my way of thinking, a little muddy. Of course, the differences will be minimized when you're listening to this on YouTube, and that's why I've made the original files available for you to see what you think. I would love to have some feedback from people who do that. Please let me know whether you think the Tascam suits my voice better or the Zoom. As I say, for me, I think the Zoom just has the edge because it seems a little bit clearer for my voice, but I'm not really sure. The difference is so small that I find it very difficult to tell them apart, to be quite honest, unless I'm comparing them side by side. However, as far as the money goes, like I say, there's no contest. The Zoom is to my mind, much better value. Certainly at the sort of current prices you can get at the moment. And I would have no hesitation in using the Zoom on a regular basis. The build quality, of course, is very different. The Tascam is much better than the Zoom. The Zoom is very plasticky, and it feels cheap, let's be honest. It feels like a cheap, well, almost like a toy. But it does the job. And if all you want is good quality output for your videos or whatever else you're doing, recording your band or what have you, then it's pretty good. But you do have to take a little bit of care with the levels, because certainly my experience from... dogs are barking, that's probably going to pick up. Certainly my experience from the 2 sets of recordings I've done now, setting the levels correctly manually makes a big difference. Okay, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, question. See you again. Thanks for watching. Bye.